Welcome, Rotarians and guests. We'll leave the back doors open a little bit as people filter in. I know that parking was a bit of an issue with so much going on downtown, but that's all a good thing. Today we welcome Brian Epstein with NextTech as our speaker, but before we get to that, I'm going to invite Keith Burwell up for a reflection, and then Lauren Smith will lead us in the pledge. Keith?
With Brian speaking to us about entrepreneurship today, I thought it would be relevant to have an invocation message of thought around that. And with great wisdom, I start with a quote from Yoda, the Jedi Master: "Do or do not, there is no try." But then those of you who know me also know of Michael Jordan, and I appreciate his quote around success and entrepreneurship. He said, "I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that's why I succeed." And in the Chinese proverb, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the second best time is now. Henry Ford said, when everything seems to be going against you, remember that airplanes take off against the wind, not with it. And so with those thoughts, let us remember in our mindful prayer that godly entrepreneurs must be mindful of the 7 things that the Almighty detests, which are haughty eyes, lying tongues, hands that kill the innocent, hearts that plot evil, feet that race to do wrong, false witnesses who pour out lies, and persons who sow discord among brothers. As entrepreneurs, we should walk with divine integrity, and with our communities, we will reap the benefits. So thank you for granting us the gift of another day to impact people in the way that we may know how. Offering our gratitude for unique gifts and talents bestowed upon each of us, that we be a blessing to the world around us. Allow us to walk in truth and integrity as we each present our business to the marketplace, whatever that business may be, in a way that is pleasing to all concerned. May we be guided by the divine, that our footsteps and our tongues share our passion, knowledge, and experience with the community and in which we live and with those who are in need. Provide continual clarity of purpose so that we may hold our vision steadily and keep our focus on the needs and successes of others, which in turn brings us our success. May we be used as a lightning rod to collect the amazing ideas already present in the universe, and when blessed with such inspiration, that we may be able to apply our talents and abilities to turn the power of thought into a measurable achievement of our goals and for our community. With these, we say thank you and amen.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Keith. I always think about how very fortunate we are that we can, Bob DiNardo, we have a place for you up here. We'd love to have you at the dais. Thank you. I always reflect on, when I say the pledge, how very, very lucky we are that we live in these great United States of America. Thank you to our May sponsor, Hartman Associates, and if you're interested in being a sponsor, please contact the office. We have no visiting Rotarians today that I'm aware of, so how about guests? Do we have any guests that we'd like to bring up to the podium?
President Sharon, I'd like to introduce Marvin Whitfield. He's president of Blue Force Mobile Training Team that I met at the Red Cross event a couple weeks ago. He was a volunteer there as well.
Marvin, welcome.
Hi, President Sharon. I'd like to introduce Melissa Dietrich, who is a trust officer at Key Private Bank.
Welcome, Melissa.
President Sharon, I'd like to introduce my guest, Vicki Stouffer, who is the Vice President for Advancement at Lourdes College.
Welcome, Becky.
President Sharon, I'd like to introduce my colleague Lisa Flynn, who's providing an internship at St. Paul's Community Center and a prospective member.
Welcome, Lisa. I hope all our guests enjoyed today's program. This is a great time to check in on your social media and let them know that you are at the Rotary Club of Toledo's Monday meeting. And a reminder that once you do that, to please silence your cell phones, check in and check out. Give yourself the gift of Rotary for an hour. So this is the first time I've appeared before you without a suit on. I got up this morning and said, what suit am I wearing today? And I said, no, district conference. It was a blast this weekend for those of you that were there. An awful lot of fun. Our club participated in many ways. Our executive director, Kathy Tate, took care of the logistics for the conference, which was held at the Renaissance Center. Butch Kruger did a great job on the memorial that was held on Sunday. And a couple things from the conference to share with you. Your Rotary Club of Toledo is number one in membership in the district, so congratulations to you. This year we are number one in increase in membership in the district. Also, our very own Janina Douglas received one of the very first environmental awards given by the district. Janina, I think you're here today. You want to stand and be recognized? Congratulations. And earlier than normal being announced, our club has once again received the presidential citation. So we got a nice little award from the district saying you will be receiving RI's presidential citation. So congratulations to everybody here who made that happen. There was plenty going on at the district, and one of the items and things that happened at the district is the Rotary Club of Toledo had a Kids Against Hunger food pack in which we combined our resources with the district to pack about 33,000 meals. So we have some images that Walt has put together for us on that. thank you, Walt, very much for putting that together. You got to see we wore these groovy little hairnets. Dick Wolf had a little bit of thing going on outside his hairnet. And Tim, we said, Tim, you don't need it, but they made him put it on. But anyway, we had a lot of fun. Again, we packed, we were in for 33,000 meals, and it really was a lot of fun. And thank you to everybody who participated. Other things going on at the conference is the MESA group. And as you know, as a Rotarian in our club, every one of you is a member of MESA. Their annual meeting is held at the district conference, and at the annual meeting, our own Bob DiNardo was once again elected chairman of MESA, and you'll be hearing a little bit more about MESA in a few minutes. We also had keynote speaker was Christine Brennan, and as you know, with Tom and Kate Backoff, Christine Brennan considers this to be her hometown. Very, very gracious keynote speaker, always very refreshing and frank, and with all the things going on in sports. For those of you who maybe don't know Christine, she is one of the leading folks, not just woman, in sports news today, but she is one of the leading people throughout the world, and she takes and tackles some of these very hard issues that are going on in sports right now, and she was very open and very refreshing about her keynote speech, and we're thankful, of course, to having her being from Toledo. She was able to be at this conference. We had great breakout specials and sessions about leadership and personal growth. And just a little reminder, I think that we forget. Remember, we're an organization of 1.2 million people that in the 80s set out to eradicate polio. So in the mid-80s, there were 350,000 cases per year of polio. And today, folks, we've had 8 this year. We're this close. So be proud. You're very much a part of that organization. So we had a lot of fun. It was all team-oriented. That's why the shirts, baseball game, and if you have an opportunity to go next year, please, please take advantage of it. This time I'm going to invite Kathy Tate to come up and give us a few news from the Executive Director.
Thank you, President Sharon. Hi, everyone. I'm going to take just a show of hands survey before I give you some information, because I've had some conversations that I find interesting. And one of the things we really try to do in the Rotary office is communicate everything to you. And I know sometimes that may be an overabundance, so I really am cognizant of that, whether it be emails, text, or otherwise. So how many of you do receive a Monday morning text from us? And do you like it generally? So, okay, so if you do, so if those of you who don't, and if you do wish to, the only reason that we have the ability to do that is if we know your cell phone carrier. So you might want to check in with Emily on that. I just wanted to kind of see how you feel about that. How many of you are aware that we accept credit cards for like anything? Okay, because some of you are not, so I just want to speak to that. And then the last question I have is, on Thursday, every Thursday around noon or so, you receive the PDF version of the Spoke in your inbox, and then about 6 or 7 o'clock at night, you receive another version, which is the MailChimp user-friendly phone version, which only has the highlights. Do you know that you receive both of them? Do most of you know that? Okay, because some of you don't know. I was like, you don't know that? So I thought, well, maybe they don't know that. But the one that you get at 6 or 7 o'clock really just focuses on the highlights. Usually it's who's the speaker and other action items. This last week, because we have so many things going on in the club, we only focused on action items. So I have this that I'm in charge of, so just bear with me for just a minute so I can stay in order. So we're coming to the end of this Rotary year, June 30th, preparing for... Wait, I forgot. See, already. I'm supposed to click. Nope. Yep. So, any of you, do all of you have one of these? Hopefully you don't, or you do. If you don't, you can get it from us. But this is our printed Rotary roster. So there will be a new one printed, I will say, by the end of July. So if you would give us, if you have any updates, if you've changed jobs, if you've changed emails, if you've done anything like that, please let Emily know that so we can get everything updated, and we'll take care of the rest. One of the things that I've been wanting to do for a while, on your tables you'll see our old paper committee sign-up form. So there's 2 on every table, and there's a stack out on Emily's table. But this year, Emily has really taken us to a new level, and she's got this form online. So you can just do it online if you don't want to do the paper. So I just kind of showed you where our website is. If you went to the Forms tab, you would see it. A drop-down would come down. You would see Committee Selection Form 2018-19. This is if you want to do it online, and then it'll take you to this. Now, the only, you'll click which committee you want. There's 2, well, I had to do it in 2 pages, or 2 slides, I should say. So you can pick what committee you want, go down, and I don't show it on here, but you just hit submit. It goes directly to Emily. If you're not sure what those committees do, the sample that I left on your table shares what the outline of the committee is, but you can pick one up from Emily on your way out if you want to get a little more detail. And then I would welcome you to call at any time if you need to know more information. So I think that'll be most helpful this year. I mentioned the credit card. So I just did this picture of this square, which most of you know what it's like or what it looks like, but we don't have to do it that way. But if you came to a Monday meeting and you forgot your lunch money, I know someone mentioned to me that they thought, well, we don't take any credit cards, so they didn't want to come charge it or do anything like that. Anyway, we have this square which we used a lot during the It's a Cabaret planning. So if you forget your lunch or you want to charge your tickets or your lunch, you can do that. And I just want you to be aware, it can do your lunches, your dues, a donation to the foundation. We're set up to do any of that with the credit card, and we do it right through our phone. I'm clicking. Did I click too far? Well, I'm not. Well, anyway, there is one more slide, and one last piece of this update is that it is the end of the Rotary year. Some of you may or may not recall, but last year in June, at the end of June, we invoiced for the entire year for the next Rotary year. So just anticipate that you're going to receive an email from me. If you're over the age of 40, your dues are going to be invoiced at the $550 amount. If you're under 40, they're going to be $275. And then you can pay those dues online. You can give it to Emily. She can write down your credit card. You can call, or you can just show up at Rotary, and we'll run it through this square. And if you ever have any questions, please feel free to let myself or Emily know or call the office. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Kathy, and thank you for all that you do for us. At this time, I'd like to invite Rachel Hobson to come up. So, as you know, Rachel was involved with the 4-way speech contest. At district, we did get to see the district winner. We hope to bring her to you at some point in time. But Rachel's here to introduce our second place winner for our 4-way speech contest.
Good afternoon, Rotarians and friends. As you have been hearing me talk about for the past few years, the Rotary 4-Way Test Speech Contest, it offers the opportunity for high school students to speak on how the 4-Way test applies to topics that impact their lives as well as the lives of those around us. Topics are covered on all levels, serious and not as serious, from gun violence and religious genocide all the way to fishing and 4-H club. It's very cool to hear all the different perspectives. Today, we have the pleasure to hear from our runner-up for the Rotary Club of Toledo 4-Way Test Speech Contest, Seth Ram. He's a senior at Whitmer High School. Seth is planning on attending Hillsdale College in Michigan and will be majoring in political science. He's a three times national qualifier in speech and debate, was an academic All-American for the National Speech and Debate Administration, as well as a state semifinalist in extemporaneous speaking, which I think that may be an example of, in speech and debate. Seth has won the Americanism and Government test from the American Legion in 2017 and 2018, as well as in his spare time, he serves as a student council vice president. So please help me in welcoming Seth and offer your attention as he presents his speech. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I'd just like to thank you for having me here, and I will get right into it. The year is 2018, and as I sit reading the news, as I so often do because I'm a speech and debate kid, I notice an article in the sidebar from a town in Maine known as Bangor. They're talking about an even smaller town known as Jackson, where the city manager was recently fired on grounds of residential racial segregation, which is described as the practice of trying to decide where someone will live solely based on their ethnicity. This led me to base today's conclusion, which is the fact that Americans need to be concerned about the current status of residential racial segregation, even though the active practice of redlining has been stopped. We can see this clearly through the Rotary's four-way speech contest, and we see it through the first two lenses by developing today's conclusion. First, we see it through the first question, is it the truth? And we see that sadly, yes, residential racial inequality is a truth. Then we ask ourselves whether it's fair to all concerned. And the answer to the question is no. Residential racial inequality is not fair to all concerned. Now that we've developed the conclusion, we can justify the conclusion and look at it and see whether it's accurate through the later two questions in the Rotary's contest and through the Rotary's questions. The third question is this: is it going to build goodwill and better friendships? And the fourth question asks us whether or not it is going to be beneficial to all concerned. And the answer to the question is most definitely yes, if we do acknowledge residential racial inequality. So diving right into the Rotary's first question, which is it the truth? Sadly, we can see that yes, residential racial segregation is a truth. Amy E. Hiller of the University of Pennsylvania said in 2003 that residential racial segregation is perpetuated by the practice of redlining, which still hasn't been fixed. And The Atlantic tells us in an article from 2014 entitled "The Racist Housing Policy That Made Your Neighborhood" that redlining did this. It allowed the Federal Housing Administration to take loans away from people that lived near African Americans. What this did is it caused them to move away from these communities. And as this happened more and more and more, you quickly found communities that were solely based in minorities. And it wasn't just for African Americans. It was just about any minority. As this happened, the FHA started to mark these communities that were all minority-based as undesirable, places where people wouldn't want to move and businesses wouldn't want to start up. It's clear through all of this evidence that for the Rotary's first question, residential racial inequality and redlining is a sad truth. And we see through our second question, which is it fair to all concerned? The answer is no. We can clearly see it isn't. So it's stated by Harvard sociologist Robert J. Sampson in 2013 that in Chicago, the neighborhood of West Garfield Park, which was at the bottom of redlining, because redlining has 4 tiers, 4th grade being the lowest and 1st grade being the best. West Garfield Park was one of the 4th grade communities. Then you have a neighborhood known as Clearing, which was a 1st grade community. West Garfield Park, now 50 years later, after 1968, when the active practice of redlining was stopped, has an incarceration rate per capita 40 times higher than that of Clearing. And it's clear through this evidence that residential racial inequality and redlining is not fair to all concerned. In fact, it's caused major inequality in incarceration rates as a result of a lack of income and economic stimulus in these communities because the Federal Housing Administration marked them as undesirable. Now that we've formulated our conclusion from this, the fact that Americans need to be concerned about residential racial inequality, we can look towards justifying that conclusion by saying that if we make this conclusion, it will be beneficial to all concerned, and it will build goodwill and better friendship. So on building goodwill and better friendship, right now it's important to note that from the time directly after the Civil War until the early 90s, the Republican Party held the majority of the African American vote. And from the early 90s onward, the Democratic Party has held that exact same vote. Yet nearly nothing has been done to fix this problem. While redlining was actively stopped in 1968, nothing has been done to heal the deep wounds and the deep scars that redlining has created in America's communities. It's clear here that if we acknowledge today's conclusion that Americans need to be concerned about the current status of redlining, it will start to build goodwill and better friendships, and it will start to reach out and in a way to stop and correct the errors of the past. This allows us to look to the fourth and final question of the Rotary, whether it's beneficial to all concerned. And the answer to the question is without a doubt, yes. In modern-day America, in 2018, racial tensions are at an all-time high. You have riots in Ferguson, Berkeley, Baltimore, all around the country. There is mass racial tension. And a good way to start resolving that is by acknowledging the fact that mistakes were made in the past and that we can fix them in modern-day America. If we do this, and if we follow the Rotary's speech contest and we see that it will be beneficial to all concerned, it's clear that we can make amends for the mistakes of the past. So, when we look at the Rotary's four-way speech contest, all in all, we see that residential racial segregation is a sad truth. We see that it's not fair to all those involved. We see that acknowledging it can build goodwill and better friendships. And finally, we see that it will be beneficial to all concerned if we acknowledge the problem. So while this entire quest into the problems that residential racial segregation started from a small town article talking about an even smaller town, through the Rotary's four-way speech contest, it's clear that the problem applies to a much larger audience. Thank you.
It is really great to see the talent and the thought that went into something like that. Certainly, it's a great indication of our youth and what it holds for our future. So thank you very, very much. And certainly, Seth, we welcome you back at any other time you'd like to come speak with us. And for second place, I believe, Rachel, we gave him a $200 gift towards your education. So congratulations. At this time, I'm going to invite Dan Skilleter to the mic to introduce Andy Ragazzi as one of our new members. Always proud to bring my son up.
President Sharon, Mom, my fellow Rotarians, it is my privilege today to introduce to you Andrew Kevin Renazzi, one of the best friends that I have in this world, and he will make a great Rotarian. Andy spent time at the University of Michigan and in the University of Detroit, graduating in 1988, obtaining his law degree. He was then passed the bar in both Ohio and Michigan and licensed and started working for Fuller and Henry until 1997, when he joined the Lucas County Prosecutor's Office under Julia Bates. One of Andy's largest accomplishments in his career is he was on the team that crafted the first indoor smoking ban here in Ohio. In addition, on top of that, Andy has started philanthropy and entrepreneurship. He has started the company called NOSA. A lot of people are familiar with the SCRIPT programs that happen in our schools with the children. What it is they bulk buy gift cards and then sell them back to the schools with the profits going back to the schools. He has gained over $5 million in his time at NOSA for the local schools in this area. The most important thing that Andy tells me about him is his wife, Deborah, his longtime wife. They were married when they were in college. He has 2 daughters, both of them who are married with wonderful son-in-laws. He has 3 sons and 3 grandchildren. Andy, you'll see him over at the Toledo Club playing squash. You'll see him running around on the track. And his biggest pet peeve, which unfortunately I have to announce it from this podium, is that his biggest pet peeve are Buckeye fans. President Sharon, fellow Rotarians, I'm pleased to introduce Andrew Kevin Renazzi as our newest Rotarian.
Well, this is going to be fun. And if you ever engage in conversation with Andy, you better plan on it being 15, 20 minutes because his wife will tell you he just goes and goes. He's an Energizer bunny. Glad to have you, Andy. Dan, thank you for sharing the gift of Rotary with Andy. Bob DiNardo, how about some news about Mesa?
Thank you, President Sharon. Dan and I share a birthday, so she gave me a birthday present on November 17th, however many years ago. Mesa is a participation sport, so we're going to talk about the bike ride. Raise your hand if you know how to ride a bike. Everybody. So you can participate in the Mesa bike ride. How many of you, and this one I'm going to have you stand for, how many of you are already registered to ride any part of the Mesa bike ride? Please stand. Stay standing. And not just registered, who is also going to donate some time or some materials to Mesa? Time meaning volunteer at our ride, that type of thing. Who is part of the International Service Committee? You're supposed to stay standing. That means you. International Service has always supported Mesa in all the efforts that we make. Anybody been down to the warehouse? Stay standing. How many of you would like to ride that are not registered or would like to donate to Mesa? You can stand too. Stand up. We'll take $5. We'll take $500. You can pledge to any of us. Toss a 5 on Emily's table out front. I'm waiting. I think we take credit cards too. We already have, and what I want to do is acknowledge all of you people. You are making a difference. Thank you very much. For the Toledo ride alone, which is May 31st, we already have clubs represented from Ada, Elyria, Bryan, Bonita Springs, Florida, Vermilion, Maumee, Sylvania, Waterville, Bowling Green, Fremont, and Perrysburg. So you can be a part of that. It's a great social gathering, a great chance to meet other people. You can take a half day off. You can take a full day off. We've already been through the ride. We had a program on Mesa a few weeks ago, so you know what Mesa is all about. We're always looking for help and volunteers and materials. Should be a great ride, especially the Toledo part. I know a lot of you can't ride 50, 60, 70 miles a day, but everybody who raised their hands and said they could ride a bike, you know how that feels when you get on a bike the first time? You know, they're pushing you from the back. All of a sudden, you're riding on your own. You got that freedom. You can go anywhere. You can get there fast. That's what biking is like. We'd love to have you out there, so I don't know if you want any more details, Sharon?
I think we're good.
We're good.
We'll be there.
All right. Hope to see you all out there.
Thanks, Bob. And remember, we are hosting the event on the 31st, which is the kickoff at Metro Parks Middle Ground. Shireen Murad has an announcement from the floor, Mike.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Rotarians. I just want to remind everybody about our Sandpiper event on June 2nd on Saturday. We encourage under 40, but we really want to express that we want everyone to come join us. Sandpiper is a fun ride right down the Maumee. I think it's going to be absolutely beautiful with a nice sunset cruise. So I challenge you to put this on your calendar so when you get back to work today or tomorrow that you invite at least 1 or 2 people to come on to this beautiful sunset cruise. We're going to have lots of different kind of drinks and appetizers and a lot more fun than anything else. So please put it on your calendars and invite at least one person that is not in the Rotary Club and join us for a really fun boat ride.
Thank you, Shireen.
Oh, wait, I forgot. You can, I'm so sorry. You guys can sign up on Facebook or on the Rotary website. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So a great networking event, an opportunity to meet other Rotarians and prospective Rotarians. So at this time, I'm going to invite Keith Burwell to come and introduce our speaker today.
So privileged to introduce Brian Epstein today. He's soaking wet because his mom and dad live several doors down from me, and I know more about Brian than he would ever want me to tell you. He's the executive director of NextTech Ohio. He's been there since April of 2017. I can tell you that Brian has a BA degree from Albion College and a Master of Education from Plymouth State University. He's also been with ProMedica as a director of business and network development, Fi-Tek LLC as the director of trust and wealth management solutions, and the Trust Company of Toledo as well. If you don't know NextTech, it is an organization designed to help entrepreneurs build a long-standing regional ecosystem and network in support of innovation, entrepreneurship, and startups, help identifying ideas and giving the ideas and moving it to collaboration inside this ecosystem. As important, if you don't know, he has moved to have NextTech become a nonprofit. I'm meeting with his gang later this week, and I know they're going to ask. So get ready. And if you don't know where they're located, they're in the 5th floor of the Toledo Club, which makes that one of the better places for them to have an office. I'm not sure if they're trying to bring back the martini lunch or not, but great group of folks trying to create entrepreneurship. Brian, we're running late. I'm going to let you speak.
Great, thanks. Thank you all, and thank you, Keith, and everybody for letting us come share the story with you today. We have a lot to share, and I'll try to get through it pretty quick. But how many of you actually have heard of NextTech? Excellent, perfect. Great. Well, we'll jump right into it. The presentation's up there. First, going to start with a little video that'll give you a little highlight, and then we'll go into some more details.
In essence, what NextTech is, I equate to 3 things. One, to help build a network that's there to identify and boost a ecosystem around innovative startups. Number 2 is to identify people with ideas and concepts. 3 is to help them and guide them through the commercialization process. We really are in a perfect spot in Northwest Ohio to be a hub of innovation and connectivity. We have great universities, we have amazing talent, we have amazing connections globally. Not only have us and our collaborators identified 400 some concepts out there, but we're actually working through them. We're all working together. ProMedica, Mercy, UT, VG, and us. We've engaged Small Business Development Corp, Minority Business Development Corp, UT Women's Everly Center, the RGP Chamber, other regions like Lima and Findlay, and we are connecting with Ann Arbor and Detroit and others in Cleveland and Columbus. All these people are becoming successful. We want to be known in the entire world that if you want to be innovative, you can come to Northwest Ohio and be successful there.
When our students come up with an idea that is to the point where it can be shared and it needs a little more business mentorship, then we call up the folks at NextTech and say, hey, I've got to introduce you guys.
So what NextTech does really is a great resource for not only us, but everyone that has come into ProMedica Innovations looking for help, because now not only do we have an outlet for people that are coming to us, but we also have another set of eyes and ears that we can show ideas to, get feedback from their DIRs, and with the collaborators, especially with those that have healthcare focus, we can now bounce ideas internally off of and vet them.
After we get that concept kind of streamlined and focused, then we can bring them to NextTech for funding. And they also have resources available as far as other additional connections.
They help to foster the collaboration between us and our counterparts in different parts of this region to ensure that every single startup that comes into Northwest Ohio gets every resource that there is to offer.
NextTech, I think, can lead the charge in that and has started down that path, and I believe that they will be able to navigate those waters and bring all of these different areas together and create something very special here in Northwest Ohio.
And we've gotten all this done already. There's a lot more to do. We need more help. We want to engage others on this and identify other concepts. We want angel networks. We want VCs. We want, all kinds of research parks, accelerators, and we're already starting to do that. So we're seeing the impetus of that. We're ready for everybody to come together. No silos, no credit one way or another. It's about the whole community coming together to help these concepts and build an ecosystem, help grow it. We have a chance today to help create and formulate what Northwest Ohio is going to be in 100 years, which is so exciting. And have that legacy to be able to say that we created something and know that's going to last beyond ourselves is so exciting. We have idea people, we have inventors, we have entrepreneurs. Come to us with any idea you have. Let us be there and help guide you is how we help, but also making connections and even just kind of talking through your process, and maybe sometimes it's even having you pivot. It's helping you recognize where you are, what your capabilities are, give you the tools to expand and grow, and then help guide you along that and keep you on task. Great. So, NextTech, that gave you a little bit of a cursory, a little bit of a teaser, and now we'll get a little bit more of the details of what's going on. And so, who are we, what are we, and what's our purpose for the region? So as we all talk about regionally what we want to accomplish, we've been saying this for years. I've been back 20 years, and for those of you who know me, I've been involved in a lot of different things, but we want to be competitive globally. We want to attract talent, keep talent. We want to build and develop new innovative businesses. We have great base here of all the history that's happened, but we want to create new, we want to train jobs, and attract external investment. So where does NextTech fit within there? We have some amazing organizations all geared towards this focus. We have regional economic development agencies, we have amazing chambers, we have universities, we have Minority Business Development Center, these other pieces of the puzzle. We as NextTech are focused on that innovative software, hardware, technology-based concepts and the startup piece of it. So imagine how many of you have an idea? Just every so often you just kind of say, oh, if I could only do this, right? Where do you go? What if you have an agency, a services agency, that when you approach them, they actually have a pathway for you to follow? A lot of times we don't know which step to take next. You have a client manager there to assist you and help you along that process. How do you connect and know about all the resources in Northwest Ohio and Southeast Michigan to help you with that? Not just the agencies, but the corporate resources, the connections globally. How do you know what a minimum value product is, or a value proposition, or customer discovery? How do I do that? So how do you get educated around that piece of it? Geez, I have an idea, but I'm just one person. Where do I go to build a team of marketing or financial or other resources to help me take this to the next level? And then how do I get funding? It's on me, my friends and family. Are there grants? Are there angels, VCs out there? So that's what we do. That's what NextTech is. We are that agency to bring all those together and assist that person with that concept through that process and help them become successful. So we're bringing that along. We're trying to connect to the ecosystem. We actually now say we have 4 things we're doing. We need to connect to all of you. How do we make sure that we have identified all the resources, the talent that's in this region, connect us all around the same effort of trying to help these companies become successful? Identifying ideas. Every time I sit down with somebody, they say, oh, do you know so-and-so? They had this concept. Oh, do you know about this young company that's starting up? We need to identify those and tap into them. We need to guide those ideas through a formal process so they're not missing a step along the stage. And then we need to connect them to all those various resources, all coming together to build a new business of jobs and investment and wealth. So we did a little research here, and if we can go back to the full screen there. We just did a quick research since the year 2000, how many patents have been issued in Northwest Ohio? 3,500, just since the year 2000. Do we know where they are? Do we know who they are? No. Could they use some help? Are they struggling? We should be identifying and tapping into those. And those are just the ones that have been issued. What about all those patents that haven't been issued yet? or they haven't filed. They don't even know. Maybe they don't need a patent. We need to identify those concepts and help them along the process. So what's this opportunity for our region in order to accomplish this, as well as how do we become successful? So one, we need to adjust to the technology base today, right? It's faster, it's quicker, it's more flexible. We're not just Rust Belt anymore, and it's amazing what you see out there. We need to connect and truly collaborate with our partners. Our Minority Business Development Center, I know Mark Rudy is over here. Small Business Development Center, we work with Bill Wursel all the time. All of our corporate partners, and really truly work together and not duplicate, but assist each other in growing. We have so much talent in this community, we need to make sure we're connecting those dots. And then also access to capital. And I always talk about the graduates of Northwest Ohio. Not just those that are here, but people who grew up here, became very successful, who would love to leave a legacy and support these companies. So on this map, you see just the Compute Midwest from 2016 of the top tech cities, right? They did all these things before. They had those incubators, they had those accelerators, everything else. But what you can see, well, if you go back to the full map there for me, is that they surround us. We're right in the middle. Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati, Detroit. You could talk about Ann Arbor's ecosystem, Chicago. There's no reason why we all can't come together and pull them together and be that main hub for innovation and technology growth for the U.S. and the world. So how does NextTech work? So we are a collaboration. We have ProMedica, Mercy, UT, and BG. And also, our team is here. We have actually Frank Calzanetti, who is our board chair from UT, and Jessica Sattler, who runs the Launchpad and kind of director of the UT piece of it. Our staff, Jim Knapp and Tammy Herman and Amy Hoshek are here. Brian Janai could not join us. So we all have staff. I have our core staff with NextTech, but then UT, BG, ProMedica, and Mercy have their own staff. And those four are focused on various areas of technology, but then we all come together. We've all come together on a standard process. We meet weekly, whether it's on procedure and processes, or it's all meeting together on the concepts. So no matter if it's something developed through a professor at UT, they bring it to us, and everybody say who else can assist and help them move along. And so we have brought a cohesiveness to all of this. We've also partnered with the state. So one of the biggest successes, and obviously there's opportunities with the state around grants. So initially what started us off a year ago was the state Ohio Third Frontier Fund Entrepreneur Services Provider Program. Say that really fast 5 times. ESP for short. So what the state, with this grant, was started in 2007 and was issued every 2 to 3 years. They wanted an organization like ourselves in each of the 6 areas of the state. And you can see our other collaborators type organizations on the right there. But they also have other programs as well that we try to help resource and identify if there's opportunities here within the region. So we are part of that grant today, and that is a dollar-for-dollar match, and that grant will end the end of 2018. So how do we succeed with all this and coming and making this happen for our region? We have to work together. Our little tagline, region that innovates together, grows together. We will not be successful without each of you participating and helping moving us forward. So we're bringing our collaborators together. We're bringing our community resources, as I mentioned, LISC, SIFT, Manufacturing Extension Program, MBDC, Chambers, all those. We need to tap into our corporate resources, and we have some here already, whether it's Shoemaker Loop, Bionics Development, DMC's helped, and we've gone to them a few times. Identifying that talent and resources of our corporate resources to help us move them forward to then globally, right? This is not just the Midwest anymore. These companies need assistance to expand and grow, and we have to be globally competitive, and we are doing it already. So what have we been doing so far? As we mentioned, this grant was approved vote-wise March of last year. We did have some work to do, get the grant signed, which happened the end of August. So that's why you really haven't heard a lot about us, is because all of us have been hiring. We've been coming up with a cohesive process to assist the companies and concepts. We've been figuring out how to report to the state appropriately and everything like that, but all while we've been meeting with concepts. And I'll show you here in a second, there's been an influx of ideas that are out there, and now we're trying to take it to the next level and grow it and beyond. And we are, as Keith said, we actually just received our grant proposal for 2019 last week, and we'll be applying due date June 30th, so we will be approaching people to start that expansion to 19. So what do we do in terms of with the concepts? We, one, work with ideas, entrepreneurs, inventors within 8 categories, and those are kind of listed there, but I'll go through them. Life science, biomedical, sensors, alternative energy, advanced manufacturing, advanced materials, and other, by the way. So we do have another category. Then the state even goes further and says, what type of product market are you in? I love using this example, which was we have a life science, uniquely formulated, trade secret cosmetic, right? And so that does fit within our realm. And then we are bringing everybody together, our collaborators, corporate resources, everybody else, mentors, to help a system to go along the commercialization process from imagination to incubation to demonstration, market entry, and so on. To the right, and we can actually spend a day going through this, we actually developed a 7-stage process that we run these concepts through. Somebody may come to us, think they're in demonstration stage because they're selling and making some initiatives and out to the market. But when we actually sit down with them, they're struggling because they never did true customer discovery. They didn't really go out and work with a marketing firm to help develop a true strategy and plan. So we actually, through our process, have all these items identified that we're going to bring them back to make sure that they're becoming successful and didn't miss one of those items, because in order for them to move forward, they're going to actually go back and get it. So we actually do work them through that. So what has been our success to date? What have we seen? So these are 2017 numbers, and they're from March of last year, 2017. We actually have seen over 400 concepts, 300 of which we call qualify, meaning that they're tech-based and submitted an application. We're over 30-plus clients, meaning that we've spent more time with them and we feel they have a little bit more potential to move forward. But we actually need to spend more time with some of the others to see what potential they may have. The concepts are coming from all the collaborators as well as the market and the region. You can see a breakdown. We have a lot of software, IT, a few healthcare, some advanced materials, some advanced manufacturing. So it is very broad in nature what we have. The 2017 proposed measures matched up to the 17 achieved. Again, we thought we'd have 149 concepts. We had over 300 that qualified. We're already becoming successful with sales revenue, capital raised with all of our partners as well. So it's amazing what we've seen. That was kind of a backlog that we've been able to work with and really support. So what's next? We have this next grant, as I said, that we just received the application. So we'll be focused on getting that for the year 2019. We are really trying to get the outreach out there. So events like this, you'll hear us talking a lot more, focusing on moving those concepts forward. New idea generation, working with SCORE as a mentor group. We want to get into some more inclusion efforts with women and minority, and continue work with our regional resources, education, talent outreach, and those pieces you see up there. So how can you get involved? So actually we have a sheet on the tables asking for your involvement. We need collaborators. So right now, we have UT, BG, ProMedica, and Mercy. We're talking to Lima. We're talking to Finley. We're talking to others. And so we can add more to the grant. We want to expand the outreach. We want people who want to be mentors, entrepreneurs. We're also looking for financial support. We'll get into that when we reach out to you individually there. But this sheet, if you want to fill it out, if you're interested in being a mentor, interested in being an entrepreneur, being a collaborator, or seeing how you can partake, please complete it. There's also a little business card there with our staff's emails on there. Send it to us, and we'll reach out to you to kind of build a network. With that, I went quick to get to questions.
Since we're running late today, Brian has said that he will stay and answer any questions for you after the meeting. So thank you very much, Brian. As a thank you for being with us today, we will be making a donation in your name to the Polio Plus campaign. We also would like to give you this book. This is written by one of our Rotarians and underwritten by another of our Rotarians about the history of the area. So enjoy. Thank you for being with us today. There's no meeting next week, so please no lunch here next week. The next meeting will be June 4th, when Julia Wiley will be talking to us about the 225th anniversary of the battle at Fallen Timbers. There is also no meeting today. Chuck is out of town, so I'm just going to leave you with a little quibble to think about before we adjourn. Today is the oldest you've ever been, yet the youngest you will ever be. So go out, make it a great day, and make a difference in somebody's life. We are adjourned.